Hello, Tenno community. I wanted to take a moment to be really serious with you, and this is in regards to console Warframe players on Xbox. So I'm not trying to speak for you PC guys or you PlayStation guys, but if you agree with me, please give me a like and a comment below. I will be opening the comments on this video so we can have a discussion about Rails here, unmoderated by bias mods. So this is in response to a mod making a very biased statement saying that the Tenno population did not decrease at all during Armistice, which it did. A lot of people, a lot of significant clans, at least on Xbox, disappeared overnight due to Armistice. Imperial Tenno is a very good example of that. So you can see just right now by looking at the only competitive nature of your game still, which is your leaderboards, and see that the activity rate, which you can tell by the amount of kills each clan accumulates according to their size, has significantly decreased. And it's not because people are like kill farming less, it's because there's less people killing. And so we can see by that your population has decreased significantly in the past year and a half. And then it's a little unbecoming of your station to make a broad statement like that. Oh, it didn't affect the Tenno population or the amount of money being brought in the game. That is wildly untrue. Um, and it is unbecoming of your station to say such lies. The problem is that the people who read your statements, even though us vets know that's not true, they take it as truth. You're supposed to be a forum mod. And these people haven't seen Rails. No one's seen them in a year and a half. I get plenty of people interested in Rails, and I get plenty of old vets who say they won't come back until Rails come back. And then I want to address each of the issues that people were having with the dark sector conflicts. They said that people were constantly host migrating. Well, it seemed like there was a glitch to where 16 teams were able to go in per server before it would stop matchmaking people um, for defenders, and you would have to switch regions to find opponents. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I have always claimed to be on West Coast, and at the end of Rails, I had 5,000 Tenno kills, so I had no problem finding people to attack during Rails. So with that being a moot point, let's move on to your other problem, is with people spamming Blade Storm and Radiation Procs and the Rhino Slam, and then all of a sudden you got the Infinite Mesa glitch. Each of these problems, yes, are an issue. It's a slight minor bug in an ability stack or whatever that could be easily fixed. It had nothing to do with the Solar Rail builds themselves, and so should be an issue addressed separately from Solar Rails, not to be labeled under the Solar Rail problems that exist. Um, we did have some problems with schemas, but apparently that got fixed, so I'm not entirely sure why that was an issue. People said that you could load and unload a schema on there and it would not let people connect, but that was wildly untrue. It was just a bug going on at the time, and so there was no clans that were actually taking advantage of the supposed glitch. It was just a bug in the Warframe game itself, and therefore is a moot point once again. And we have the Giant Alliance problem, where the Giant Alliances control the most dark sectors and therefore are unbeatable. Well, that's not true, because when I joined this game, the Order controlled all the dark sectors, and they kicked out 2 mountain clans, 600 people, and they brought in a moon clan after that to replace these 600 people. And I'm sure a few other clans left with them, but whatever. Needless to say, these 600 people then created 2 of the major alliances that exist today and took on the Order with the help of CFE, were able to take out the Order and conquer them in under 3 months. Now, this is pretty impressive, and they set world records doing so. And were about to face Imperial Tenno, another large alliance that had arisen to attack the Order, and were not entirely sure of whether or not to attack the Order, but to attack Art of War. And we're not entirely sure as if Art of War would have beaten them. But we decided to put Armistice up and rework the Dark Sectors. So that was a huge drop in players after that. And what you replaced it with was Conclave. Now, as Conclave had it before, people say that it is more balanced because you had to have a Conclave rating to get matched with players of that Conclave rating. However, if you just had a really good Warframe and one really good weapon and you unequipped all your weapons, you would still have the minimum Conclave rating to go in there and slaughter noobs. So that didn't quite make it balanced. What made it balanced is the Conclave that you have today, where everyone has specific weapons and mods that they are able to grind and use for. It is definitely a separate syndicate. That works just fine. But Rails is the bridge between Conclave and PvE. You had Spectre builds on there. If you knew how to drop Spectre builds, you wouldn't even have to defend a rail. Your Spectres would do it for you. This was a great part of Rails, a great part of raids. And here is the other bug, was that you didn't actually have to complete your Spectre armies. To launch a Spectre army, that is the max amount of Spectres that you are able to deploy on a rail, and once the enemy kills them all, they are gone, and you are faced with just what defenders you have left, the little tiny bot things, or the Grenier and your defenders. So when left with the Grenier and the defenders, the rail conquer should be fairly easy. Except if you didn't launch your army. If you just started building armies and putting Spectres in there, they would just suddenly appear on your solar rail with no seemingly endless supply of them. And so I want you guys to look at this problem as a solution. So instead of putting a minimum cap on the amount of Spectres that one clan can add to his Spectre army, just build the research for this type of Spectre, this type of Spectre, and this type of Spectre. And each player can go and put as few or as many as they want. There will be a tally of how many get added, and once those tally are burned up in the war, then they are done. And you are once again left with whatever. So you don't have to completely fix that, but just minorly twerk it. The main fix to Dark Sectors, the main one, my main problem, is that it does not match the lore. If you made Dark Sectors match the lore, it would have it so it would be like the Derelict, a node that is unreachable unless you build a ship to be able to get to it. So let's make it match the lore. And if PC guys don't want Dark Sectors returned, then take it off for PC guys and leave it for us consoles. If they don't like it, they don't like it. Instead of holding one vote for everybody, hold a vote for consoles and PC. If they want to separate so much, then let them be separate. But I've been talking to PC players, and they are thrilled to have Dark Sector conflicts back. And a lot of them missed the vote that you held. I would like to see Dark Sector rails come back in the same manner in which they were there. It is a mixture of PvE and PvP. That gives us a reason to format all of our stuff a bazillion times, because we want to start out at that Master Rank 0 and kill our way up. That's fair. That's balanced. That was awesome. You guys created a beautiful game type that worked. It really worked. And you let the criticism of noobs take you away from the goal of the game, which was that competitive real-time Conclave conquers, the glory of Warframe that is now gone. I don't know if it's ever gonna come back, and I know a lot of people are losing hope, but I hope you hear me. I really do. Because this is not about petty clan drama. This is about glory, honor, having a distinction. Having your name in the stars for a conquer that you sweat and bled for. This is what true conclave is about. This is what true warfare is about. The beauty you created is not something that needs to be frowned or altered on. It just needs to be perfected. You didn't take it down to fix something. It wasn't broke. You took it down to make it even more beautiful and match it to the lore. Anything else, anything else is blasphemy, because what you created is my religion, and what you've put under armistice is my Bible, and what you're trying to take out of it is the Dead Sea Scrolls, and otherwise the whole thing doesn't make sense. You got people launching crusades and shit, man. Come on. Learn from the Catholics. Either way this goes, I want you guys to know that this is a wonderful game. You created something spectacular, and for that, I love you. But don't throw it all away on the whims of a few people who don't even understand the mechanics of the game you put out there. If you had a player go into a T4 defense with an Excalibur and a Skana and expect to survive 20 rounds, you would just laugh at him. If you had someone come into Conclave with a Penta and a bright blue Neza and try and attack Nyx bubbles, people who play Conclave are going to laugh at you because you're not set up for that. You haven't trained for that. You haven't put the dedication and the grind time into it. If you go onto a solar rail and you don't have your team build or your schema build or any of your classes set up for rails, you're going to get slaughtered and you're not going to have a good time. The lack of tutorials of this game is staggering. I know plenty of video editing people who could help you, who do help you. We'll set Mugamu aside. Thanks for the JV raid tutorial, Mugamu. But we could work together to build a much more beautiful and comprehensive game. And instead of taking away one of the greatest aspects of this game that you cannot find anywhere else, no one else is on par with you guys on that. No one can touch you. You have thousands of players who still play this game just for the sole hopes of seeing that once beautiful game type return in all of its past glory. So please don't let us down. Please don't take out PvP. Please don't hold secret votes to try and determine whether or not a base majority of people on Twitter can solar rail or not. These guys don't know what they're talking about. They're just bandwagon people. Please, I'll show you. I will show you the draw for solar rails on both platforms, on all platforms. And I hope there are more people like me who make a recording, because like I said, I am opening up the discussion at the bottom of this page, and I hope you guys hear me and respond with like-minded opinions. Thank you guys very much, and I hope you agree.